Hello, my fellow anglers and friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the fishing forecast for a very specific day, Thursday, February 5th, 2026, across the United Kingdom. Now, February fishing can be a real mixed bag, right? It's often cold, sometimes wet, but for those who know what they're doing, it can also hold some incredible surprises. Today, I'm going to arm you with all the knowledge you need to turn a potentially tricky day into a triumph, because this day is going to be all about smart choices and targeted efforts. We're looking at a day that demands patience, but for the prepared angler, there's definitely some action to be had despite the chilly conditions. Let's talk tactics for a few of our favorite species. First up, the kings of the winter sea, cod. With sea temperatures hovering around 6 to 9 degrees Celsius, cod will be seeking out deeper water or congregating around features like wrecks, reefs, and rocky outcrops, especially those with good tidal flow. They're still feeding actively to bulk up, so big, smelly baits are the way to go. Think generous cocktails of lugworm, squid, and peeler crab presented on a pulley rig. My little trick here, friends, is to fish after any significant tidal movement or a rough patch of weather, as this often dislodges food and brings cod closer to shore. Aim for those deeper channels on sandy beaches or rough ground marks. You'll need a decent beach caster or boat rod to handle the conditions and any potential specimen. Next, let's not forget the humble but ever-reliable whiting and dabs. These species thrive in colder waters and can often save a blank session when the cod are playing hard to get. For whiting, light flapper rigs with size 1 to 2 hooks baited with lugworm, ragworm, or small strips of mackerel will be very effective. They often feed more aggressively in darkness, so if you're out for an evening session, keep this in mind. For dabs, which offer a more delicate bite and superb eating quality, opt for light ledger rigs or 2-hook flapper rigs with small hooks and strips of black lugworm or squid. Target sandy beaches and estuaries for these flatfish. They'll be hugging the bottom looking for small morsels. The key is presenting a small, enticing bait directly on the seabed. Moving inland for our freshwater enthusiasts, perch are definitely worth targeting. In February, larger perch are starting to become more active as the waters slowly, very slowly, begin their transition towards spring. Look for them in still waters around deeper drop-offs, submerged features like sunken trees, or beneath overhanging banks where they can find cover and ambush prey. Small jigs, drop-shot rigs with tiny soft plastics, or even small shags can be deadly. Don't be afraid to try some traditional baits like a small worm or maggot on a float rig in calmer areas. Patience is key here. Work your lure slowly and methodically, giving the fish plenty of time to react in the cold water. And for our dedicated carp anglers, February can be challenging, but not impossible. While many carp are still quite sluggish in the cold, some will be waking up. Your best bet is to target venues known for their winter form, especially those with higher stock densities or where there's a consistent baiting program. Look for carp in deeper areas or sheltered spots that are less affected by cold winds. Fishing on days with rising temperatures and stable or slowly falling pressure can sometimes trigger a feeding spell. Small, highly attractive baits like single high-attract pop-ups or a few maggots over a tiny amount of ground bait can work wonders. Avoid overbaiting. Less is definitely more in these cold conditions. Now let's break down the conditions. For Thursday, February 5th, 2026, the weather across the UK is going to be cold and unsettled. Air temperatures will reach a maximum of around 7 degrees Celsius during the day, dropping to a chilly 2 to 4 degrees Celsius overnight. Some northern areas might even see temperatures closer to 0 degrees Celsius. We're expecting light rain from the early morning, with a 60 to 70% chance of precipitation throughout the day. In places like Greater Manchester, there's even a forecast for light to moderate snowfall. The wind will be from the east, blowing at around 10 miles per hour, with gusts reaching up to 24 miles per hour. This easterly wind, combined with rain and cold, will make for uncomfortable conditions, and the wind chill will make it feel even colder. The pressure is likely to be somewhat volatile with this frontal system moving through. Water temperatures, as you'd expect for early February, will be very cold. Inland lakes and rivers will be hovering between 1 and 8 degrees Celsius, while coastal sea temperatures will likely range from 6 to 9 degrees Celsius. This cold water significantly slows down the metabolism of most fish, making them less active and their bites much more subtle. They conserve energy so they won't be chasing baits aggressively. As for the moon phase on February 5th, 2026, we'll be under a waning gibbous moon with an illumination of about 84 to 90%. This phase, occurring after the full moon, is generally considered by many anglers to be a fair period for fishing, often better than the new moon, but not typically as active as the full moon itself. The moon will rise after sunset and set after sunrise. While some swear by lunar calendars, my experience tells me that while the moon can influence tides and perhaps nocturnal feeding, the immediate weather conditions and water temperature will be far more critical on a cold February day like this. So, what's my overall assessment? The general activity of fish across the UK on this day will be fickle to moderate. The combination of very cold water, an easterly wind, and light rain or even snow means that most fish will be relatively inactive. However, species specifically adapted to cold water, or those starting their early spring movements, can still be caught by anglers employing slow, precise, and targeted tactics. You'll need to work for your bites, but they will be there for the persistent and patient angler. My friends, don't let these challenging conditions deter you. This is when the real anglers shine. Dress warmly, stay safe, and remember, every cast is a chance. I wish you all tight lines and nil desperandum. Never despair. If you found this forecast helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth analyses, and tell me in the comments below, what are your go-to winter fishing tips for the UK? And what are your plans for fishing this challenging February day? I love hearing your stories.